The Minnesota Vikings are just one of the teams that are possibly in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Now, after a 4-12 season by the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson says he is unhappy with playing there, and I think we all can agree that's a reasonable statement. Like, you shouldn't talk bad on your team and all that, but when the season's over, you should just say you don't want to play for the team. And it's totally understandable. I mean, you're going 4-12. The guy just finished first in passing yards. He's 7th in touchdowns and like 12th in QBR. All right, he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He is not a good quarterback. He is a great quarterback. And he did all of those stats playing on an awful Houston Texans team. I mean, they had Bill O'Brien as a play caller and offensive coordinator and head coach the first half of the season when they started with, like, what was it, 0-5 start? I mean, he has been in a terrible scenario. His 1 and 2 receivers are Brandon Cooks, and I guess they have Randall Cobb as well, but I guess he would be more of a 3 receiver. And then they also have Will Fuller. Those are not number 1 and 2 receivers right there. Those are all okay backups. He is playing on possibly the worst team in the NFL, yet we don't know that because he is just that good. He got them 4 wins this year alone. I mean, that defense is awful. J.J. Watt is a possible comeback player of the year. Outside of that, that defense is horrendous. I mean, he is playing with nobody on offense. They just got rid of their best player, D-Hop, and brought in David Johnson, who also did not have a great season. Although by the end of the season, he was looking pretty good. But once again, there's nobody that he can work with. And I think we all can agree, if we were in that scenario, we would probably not want to play there as well. So Houston fans should not be mad at Deshaun Watson, because we can agree that's a bad place to play. I mean, this is what Matthew Stafford should have done like 10 years ago. Just say that he doesn't want to play with the Lions. I mean, that's why his career was ruined. So anyways, Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, is now possibly going to be traded away. Now, who's all in this trade? Over half the league, basically. Anybody who even has a quarterback right now. I mean, there's teams who need Deshaun Watson a lot more than the Vikings, but the Vikings are also going to be on the sweepstakes because of how important the quarterback position is. I mean, Kirk's a great quarterback. No, he's a good quarterback. Kirk is a good quarterback. He's a quarterback that you can use and whatever. I'm not going to hate on Kirk. This is not a video saying that Kirk is a bad quarterback, but Deshaun Watson is just that much better, and that's a huge improvement. You should just keep going at quarterbacks, just keep taking picks on quarterbacks until you get a massive hit on some quarterback. So who are all these teams that are in the sweepstakes? Now, we're not going to count Colts and Jags. Anybody that think the Houston Texans are going to trade within their division, one of the best players in the NFL, is crazy. All right, Colts and Jags are not in the sweepstakes. Outside of that, 49ers, Bears, Broncos, Cowboys, Dolphins, Eagles, Falcons, Jets, Lions, Patriots, Raiders, Saints, Steelers, Vikings, and Washington. I just named off half of the NFL. And there is more than half of the NFL that are going to be looking to Deshaun Watson. These are the only teams that I can see actually making moves to get Deshaun Watson. I mean, outside of that, Eagles maybe not. I mean, Jalen Hurts was looking okay. But once again, when you can choose between Jalen Hurts and Deshaun Watson, you are taking Deshaun Watson. I know a lot of these teams already have quarterbacks. I mean, the Saints, even Taysom Hill is looking like a good starting quarterback. I mean, a lot of these teams have quarterbacks. 49ers, they have Jimmy. Vikings, we have Kirk. But there's Deshaun Watson out there. You have to look. You have to at least try. There's going to be a huge bidding war. I mean, teams are going to risk their entire futures just because of this. I mean, look at the Vikings. If we have a lot of our defensive guys come back and they look as good as a lot of Vikings fans are saying they will, I mean, Vikings fans are just undoubtedly saying Danielle Hunter's still one of the best in the NFL. We haven't seen him play in a whole year. We don't know how he looks. Of course, when he played, he was one of the best. But coming off of a season where he didn't even play one snap, I mean, he didn't even really practice. He was injured the entire time. Coming off of that injury, we don't know if he's going to be great. Assuming he is. Assuming Anthony Barr is still as good as people think. Eric Kendricks will come back. These cornerbacks will develop. Michael Pierce will come back. And assuming that the defense fixes itself. I'm getting a lot of Vikings fans that think the defense is just going to fix itself. You don't have to do anything with it. It's going to fix itself. Assuming that does happen. And we have Deshaun Watson. We don't need any of these picks, all right? What would we have to give up? People are saying three first rounders. Sure, I'll give up 3 first rounders in a heartbeat for Deshaun Watson. I mean, the value of a first-round pick is massive. But 3 first rounders for Deshaun Watson, I will do that because that's how important the quarterback position is. I honestly think if the Vikings had Deshaun Watson this last season, not 2 seasons ago, we would have won the Super Bowl. We would have. If we had Deshaun Watson 2 seasons ago, when our defense was still pretty good. Now, this raised the question. Kirk Cousins. Obviously, he's not going to be a backup quarterback. He's too good to be a backup, and he's way too overpaid for the Vikings to have him as a backup. Just trade him for anything. I mean, and these aging players. I mean, this cap scenario for the Vikings is bad. We are negative $5.5 million in cap. If you can trade away Kirk, that will be huge. I don't care what you get for him. Get a 7th-round draft pick. Just get rid of that contract. You can trade away Rudy, another aging player. Riley Reef, another aging player, assuming that you can get picks from them. It would probably be like 7th-rounders. But anyways, assuming that you can get stuff from them, this will help the cap scenario a lot. The only aging players I would really keep if I was the Vikings, Harrison Smith and Adam Thielen, because we don't have the replacements. We don't have a... BC Johnson's not ready to be a starting wide receiver 2. I'll tell you that right now. Chad Beebe's not ready to be a wide receiver 2, and we have no safeties. All of our safeties are going to be gone. So those are the only 2 aging players that I would keep. Outside of that, you can trade away all your aging players if you can find draft spots, trade spots for them, and then you could trade away Kirk Cousins. I mean, this is all wishful thinking. I'm going to say that right now. Vikings fans, don't expect it to see Deshaun Watson in a purple and gold. Don't expect it to happen. I mean, do you see Rick Spielman making that move? Rick Spielman made a huge move for Kirk Cousins. Do you see him moving on to go for Deshaun Watson? It would be a very smart decision. It would be very smart. But do you see Rick Spielman doing that? To get Deshaun Watson, I feel like we would first have to get rid of Spielman. I'm a huge fan of Spielman. He has drafted great. He has drafted some amazing players in late rounds. Not offensive lineman and not quarterback. He cannot draft those 2 positions. But other than that, he has drafted well. I've not been a huge fan of Mike Zimmer as well. Again, I want to move on from these guys, but again, I just have to stick with them because I know that they're going to be here for at least one more season with the Vikings. And as long as Kirk is here, I think that they're going to be here. And as long as they're here, I think Kirk is going to be here. So I wouldn't expect to see Deshaun Watson at all. It'd be a move that I would love to see. If the Vikings had Deshaun Watson next year, our offense would be complete. Our offense would be so good. Our offense is already one of the best in the NFL. Now, again, that line is holding us back. Those interior offensive linemen are holding us back. Outside of that, our offensive playmakers are unstoppable. I mean, Dalvin Cook is had a massive season. Of course, Adam Thielen led the league in receiving touchdowns. I think he did. Did he finish? I know he led the league in receiving touchdowns most of the season, but he might have fell off at the very end. Maybe Devontae Adams passed him up. And then Justin Jefferson, obviously, Rookie of the Year candidate. I mean, this offense has a lot of playmakers. And then we also had Irv Smith coming out. We had a lot of playmakers. And Kirk just made him look better. But Deshaun Watson will make him look great. Do I think it's possible? I mean, anything's possible. I've seen some weird things happen in the NFL. Anything is possible. But again, very unlikely. Very unlikely. I'm sorry to ruin you guys' hopes, but Deshaun Watson is probably not going to be in a Vikings uniform. And honestly, I don't even know if he's going to play for another team. I mean, they're getting a new what am I trying to say? General manager. They're getting a new general manager. They just traded head coach. They had an interim head coach. They are getting a whole new coaching staff. Do you think their first move is going to be to trade away Deshaun Watson? I mean, if they trade away Deshaun Watson, they're done. They're the worst team in the NFL. They're going to have to tank all 2021. Do you think that a head coach, when it's his first year, and a GM, when it's their first year, is just going to tank the first season? I mean, I guess it's possible. I guess that's possible. But once again, it's not going to happen. I mean, he might get traded away if he really wants to leave. Usually it's the players. I mean, there's no reason to trade away Deshaun Watson. You don't just find talent like that. You do not just find talent like that in the draft. I mean, people are saying Trevor Lawrence is, yeah, that. Again, you don't know how they're all going to look in the NFL. Deshaun Watson is a guarantee. You've already seen what he can do. So moving on from him would just be a dumb decision. But if he really wants to go and does not want to play there, do what's best for him and trade him away. Would it be to the Vikings? I don't know. I don't think it's very possible because of how many other teams just have a lot more to give up. And once again, Vikings, we have Spielman, we have Kirk. I don't think Spielman's going to trade away Kirk. Right? Move on from Kirk at all. Let me know what y'all think.